I'm John Hartledge. Welcome to my channel. Let's chat wine. This episode, we're talking renegades, thievery, chicanery, sleight of hand, and outright deceit and banishment. Yes, all coming from the area south of Burgundy, actually technically part of Burgundy, but in the south, banished to the south. Beaujolais. Yeah. Okay, so let's get right to it. I know we made a lot of hoopla, but there's a good reason for it because, man, what a history this area has been steeped in. Crime and deceit and banishment. There's our theme. So originally in the 1300s, so think 1388 to 1400s, a span of about 1404 till the death of this particular figure. But just think of that, one little splice of time, about 12 to 16 years. The Duke of Burgundy, named Philippe the Bold, got a little jealous. Now look, he worked very hard at promoting Burgundy and promoting the fine wines that Pinot Noir started to produce. The fine wines, he was actually credited with actually choosing the clone that became the standard for Burgundy. And then all of a sudden, Gamay Noir came onto the scene, and farmers thought, oh my God, the Gamay, it grows voraciously. It doesn't matter what happens with the weather. It's growing like crazy. It's very forward fruit, and it matures early. It's a cash flow situation. We can pay for everything else, and yes, we can pay for that production of the Pinot Noir, which is challenging, but Philippe the Bold thought, wait a minute. I've worked really hard at bringing Pinot Noir to a certain level, bringing Burgundy to a level. Gamay's not going to do that. He banished the grape from Burgundy, and he said, you can have the South. Became known as Beaujolais. So you don't usually hear the name of the grape, Gamay Noir. What you usually hear is Beaujolais. Well, in this case, the grape or the wine is named for the region, but they were banished to the South. Well, Gamay Noir flourished in the South, and the soils, the way they are in the south of Burgundy, actually did a lot for the wine itself, not only for drainage, because as we've said many times before, if you can stress your grapes, you can stress the grapes and get rid of the water and make those roots go deeper and deeper and work for the water, you end up with fruit that's actually pretty bold and dense and not diluted. The other thing they discovered about Beaujolais, or about Gamay Noir, the grape, is that it does really well with what's called carbonic maceration. Oh, love that word. Carbonic maceration. Maceration meaning tearing. Carbonic, like bubbles, okay? Fermentation. What happens is they take the berries, and typically it's done with whole cluster, and sometimes they do this with Pinot Noir, where you take the whole clusters and just the weight of the clusters in the bin that you've collected the fruit in, the weight of them starts to break the skins on the ones that are underneath. What happens? Naturally occurring yeast is on the skins. All of a sudden you get naturally occurring fermentation, but in contact with all the skins and all of the parts of the grape, so you end up with a very forward kind of fruity kind of wine and a nice bit of dense berry. Well, the other, that's very, very, very important in Gamay production, particularly Beaujolais. So it thrived. Well, in the 1980s, so fast forward, 1388, 600 years. All of a sudden, the Beaujolais crowd of producers realized that they could produce this really neat marketing campaign, because every year there was this tradition that the first bit of Beaujolais, there was like a barrel sample. it became known as Beaujolais Nouveau. It was from that vintage. So figure in the fall, you pick the grapes, you have them fermenting. It's not even finished wine. It hasn't set in barrels for any amount of time. It hasn't really set in bottles. It hasn't stabilized. Pull a little bit out of the barrel. Let's rush that barrel down the street going down the Seine River into Paris. Let's rush it down the street and have the first taste of the vintage. It became a thing. Almost like a harvest festival, like Oktoberfest in Germany. All of a sudden, it's the running of the Beaujolais Nouveau. Beaujolais Nouveau est arrivé! The Beaujolais Nouveau has arrived. That was the theme. And I remember in the wine industry in the 80s, it was huge. This $7, $8, $6 bottle. Whoa. But, didn't really taste like anything. It tasted like bubble gum. And it was very light. And it was almost carbonic. It almost had this little bit of residual CO2 that tickled your tongue when you tasted it. So it wasn't a finished wine. Got really huge until they used so much. All of a sudden, they didn't have enough of the wine. They had to throw it away because all of a sudden people kind of got tired of it. They were producing so much of it. So what we lost was the true gems of Beaujolais. We forgot that Beaujolais-Villages, 39 villages in that one of the concentric circles of a geography there, 39 villages, fruit from all of those blended by a very excellent, not only producer, but an excellent portfolio. So Louis Jadot, negociant, trying all these different wines that are finished of Gamay Noir. Co-brand, the actual importer, global company with a portfolio including not only Burgundy, so Louis Jadot does Burgundy, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, and also Beaujolais. But Beaujolais-Villages, a blend of many villages. And then there's the cru Beaujolais, named for each of their particular villages. Bruy, Morgon, Fleury, Julienat. There's a beautiful village specifics which are called crus, and those are the very highest of Beaujolais. And those are highly prized. Gamay Noir can almost, in its best state, be a little Pinot Noir-like, but it tends to be lighter and more forward. So you get this big flavor up front, kind of calms down in the middle and disappears off the palate on the finish. But to its credit, very clean, very easy. Can't believe I didn't have my spit cup. You know, if I didn't spit my wines, boom, it just would not happen. Okay, very nice. A little bit tight on the palate. I'm going to use a little Bernoulli's principle. So I did say scandals. So first they were banished, but there were also scandals. You have all of this money. I mean major sales of Beaujolais Nouveau. Inexpensive wine, but thousands and thousands of cases. So making it up in volume. Well, I love that sound. Wait, one more time. So, look, just the acidity of this grape. It's so forward. I want to put a little air on it, oxidize it a little bit, and just smooth it out a little. This is a very nice one, by the way. Beaujolais-Villages, this is excellent for Beaujolais-Villages. I really am excited. But all of a sudden, there was a couple of scandals in the early 90s. All of a sudden, an off vintage. And then you noticed blending. They found proof. People were put in jail by the French government and the wine authorities because they were blending other vintages into a vintage-dated Beaujolais Nouveau. Not good. And another big scandal, chaptalization. We're going to have to write that word up there. That is a cool word, chaptalization. In winemaking, every region has their own rules, and they allow a little bit of chaptaling, or adding of sugar, depending on how much sugar the fruit has. It might not have enough to sustain fermentation. You might have to add a little. This was a lot. It was way beyond legal, baby. Hence the Renegades. Hence the blue and red lights. The white shirt. Playing a little crafty. Pink Panther style. That's what I'm talking about. Really nice cherries, really nice berries. A little bit of that nice phenolic tannin on the finish. This is a nice little bottle. Louis Jadot, thank you very much for your Beaujolais-Villages brought to us by Co-Brand. Yeah, I had to give them the kudos because they got great labeling, they got this great logo, and they do deliver excellent wines. I have to say, it's very good. It's very good. From an area that has classed the Renegades, we have a nice tasting experience. Thank you. Come see me again. Let's chat wine. Mm.